Hello. Well, it's happy anniversary to Keir Starmer and his government. Or is it a not so happy anniversary, given all the broken promises and recent U-turns? Welcome to Grey Matters Extra. Hello, and welcome to Grey Matters Extra, where we take a look at some of the wider social and political issues that have been in the news. And obviously, with the government's first year in power now up, we think it's a perfect time to review their progress. So let's take a look, for a start, at what they said they would do in their manifesto compared to what's happened and what they've done. Take a look at this clip from Grey Matters, recorded just before the general election. Labour says in their manifesto they plan to create wealth and improve living standards for working people. So, how did that work out for them? Well, according to a report this year from the National Institute of Economic and Social Research, whilst parts of the UK are among the richest regions in Europe, the poorest parts of the UK are now poorer than the poorest parts of countries like Slovenia and Malta. That's shocking. Regional income growth in the UK has been amongst the slowest in Europe, whilst real incomes in the majority of European regions have grown at a faster rate than those here. And the research estimates that around half of the stagnation in real wages can be attributed to weak productivity growth, which is costing UK workers around £4,300 a year. So that really is improving living standards for working people, isn't it, Mr. Starmer? Right, let's take a look at this clip. It plans to remove inflation and encourage investment, but it seems pretty thin on the ground in explaining how they intend to achieve it. Right, so inflation. When Labour took power in 2024, inflation was running at 2%. As of May this year, it was running at 3.4%, and it's now currently at 4%. Now, as for encouraging, I can't believe this, as for encouraging investment, we'll look at that in conjunction with their tax proposals. Take a look at this. Their tax and spending plans are quite modest too. They intend to end or change the non-dom status, which they hope will raise £8 billion, and they want to deter tax avoidance, which, bear in mind, is legal, not to be confused with tax evasion, which is illegal. Quite modest, I said there. Not a mention of the tax hikes we've seen, the appalling family farm tax that will see farms being sold off to pay the death duties. Not a mention of the increased employers' NI, which is tanking the economy, increasing unemployment, putting smaller firms out of business, and hiking prices on the high street and in the leisure industry. The one thing their tax policies have not done is to encourage investment. Right, let's look at this one. Labour has virtually matched the Tory pledge by promising to build 1.5 million homes over 5 years. However, they acknowledge it won't be easy. Less than 150,000 homes were built over the last 12 months. OK, they want to build 1.5 million new homes a year. Well, at least they've admitted it won't be easy. It would require 822 homes to be built every day. But was that a promise or just an aspiration? Because Starmer has placed a lot of store by it. But sadly for him, according to the Ministry of Housing, there are now fewer homes being built, not more. And if they are anything like those around here where I live, they are expensive. They're executive homes, many of them, totally out of the financial reach of youngsters trying to get onto the housing ladder. Right, next. In terms of healthcare, they plan to deliver an extra 40,000 appointments, operations and scans a week. And they say this will be possible by having more weekend services and, like reform, by using more private contracts. In terms of that healthcare provision, his manifesto promised, as I said there, an extra 40,000 appointments, operations and scans a week. And that no one, he's also said, will wait more than 18 weeks for operations. Now, according to NHS England, guess what? He's failed on that too. Let's take a look at this one. The manifesto sets out principles by which they will change the care system in England, but it gives no information as to how. It just states that they will work towards it, and the principle will be to help people live independently. So, here's a promise to change the care system, but without any indication as to what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, except that the principle will be to help people to live independently. Well, they certainly made changes, mainly by attacking personal independent payments. Quite the opposite, I would have said, of helping people to live independently. Now, the analysis by the Institute of Economic and Social Research shows how the UK now has some of the least generous welfare across all of the OECD countries, with the value of welfare payments not even covering the cost of essentials. My God, that's shameful. And incidentally, if you don't know what the OECD is, it's not a compulsive behaviour, right? It's the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. It's got 38 member countries and it was founded in 1961. So it has longevity and credibility. And if they tell us that our welfare system is as bad as it is, it is. Now, let's take a more general look at the government's performance. After the recession in 2023, the UK economy bounced back in early 2024, recording a GDP growth of 1.2% up to the time of the election. Now, this meant that for 6 months at least, the UK had the fastest growing economy in the G7. And Labour, presumably thinking they could hang on to the UK's economic coattails, promised that the UK would continue to have the highest growth in the G7. Guess what? According to the Treasury, Rachel Thieves' own department, a year after the election, we've slipped from first place to third. Way to go, Chancellor. As for immigration, although the manifesto never mentioned immigration, Starmer has famously trumpeted that his government would smash the gangs. Well, how's he doing with that, you reckon? It would seem that the gangs are still very busy fleecing migrants thousands of pounds for their one-way ticket. 43,500 illegal migrants arrived here so far this year. Looking ahead fiscally, according to mainstream media, the government has all but run out of funds. There's nothing left to allocate before the next general election. Maybe Starmer should consider cancelling Miliband's ridiculous net zero project and the Chagos Islands deal. That'd be a good start, wouldn't it? And that would help his finances, I'm sure. U-turn after U-turn, thank goodness. Broken promises after broken promise. The state of the economy, the financial attacks on pensioners and those in need of care, tax hikes, uncontrolled problems with the small boats, rising crime, adding VAT to private school fees, and that's resulted in the mass exodus back to state schools, which are just not able to cope, what with that and the added increase generally to the general population. And it goes on, so on and so on and so on, ad infinitum. All these issues have probably made sure that this government is unelectable in 4 years' time. But who could govern in their stead? Let me know what you think of that in the comments, because I don't think this is cut and dried as we probably all think it is. The Tories are most likely dead in the water. Reform is a small but growing and very ambitious party that's certainly caught the imaginations of many, but it's got no experience of governing a country, although it's got lots of business experience within its ranks. But again, with Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib planning to start their own parties, that could easily water down Reform's share of the vote. And for those Labour supporters who don't like Labour's middle ground, there is talk that hard left Corbyn is planning to start his own party, and that could split Labour's power base. And as for the Lib Dems and Greens, I doubt they could find enough votes between them to even consider forming a coalition. So there are certainly some interesting times ahead. I just hope the UK isn't completely on its knees by the time the next general election comes around. And what do you think of the government's performance so far? Should Starmer stand down? Should Reeves and Rayner join him in the dole queue? And who would you like to see running in the Labour hot seat in the government if that were to happen? Who would you like to see in power after the next general election? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. We do try to read them all, even the rude ones, including a recent one that referred to me as an old git. Well, I can't argue with that. And told me to get a job. Apparently the co-op is looking for people just like me. Haha! I think after 57 years of working, I've done my bit. Don't forget, we've also got a community page which is accessible for mobile devices from a link on the Grey Matters homepage, or on the post tabs for desktops and laptops, also on the Grey Matters homepage. So that's it for now. If you like our content, please like, share and subscribe. And until the next time on Grey Matters and Grey Matters Extra, thank you for joining us, and it's bye for now.